omukisa ayizenera enteekateeka kati kironga bwetambwire ndataako ekitono kane ng'ekiri ku isimu memale ndakikuwa oida akikobera abantu nze ng'omukulembeze bwe naayogera baidako bati akoze atyaye ngambita mu office yo kambona ekiri ku isimu lyange nkuwa oida akiranga baba.
Tumwongere engalo. Ndozo mulanga kwa commissioner atukobere nti okologananga ne government oye mupi wavo waina o commissioner avo waina ati ano iso tuzo waina kale kansabe owa banka wena iza onena ali tubityawo mangu ate olukenya lumaite sawa.
Thank you. Ya ne mama mwebale tugabula tweyanza nnyo tweyanzeege abakulu kuva mu government ya wakati tusansobala bako. Once again, my name is Dennis Senyonjo. Now we dive into the session of liquidity, the session of being liquid with BAKENYE. Thank you so much. I talked about my name, so this is my name. This is Yuga Ford. We've been here for now 33 years. We started as an NGO. Twatandika NGO, later alone tuyingira. I use both? Okay. Twatandikanga NGO, but later alone tugene tufuuka microfinance. Era tuli Bank of Uganda fe yetufuga. Byonna bye tukola yetulamula. Branches tuzirina, tuyina Jinja, tuyina Mbale, Kampala ziringa Mazzi, mu West nyingi nnyo. So BAKENYE culture to stand and to grow, there has to be an aspect of cash, which is money. Abakenye abali wano lwaleero emyaka gyammwe gitandiza okuggwaayo. Simanyi oba mukikkiriza oba mukiwakanya. Naye ate waliwo generation ezitudde wansi muyino ziziweerera. Kyekigenda ofuula abakenye tulina ozimba amasomero mu communities zaffe. Twetaaga ki? Ffe tukola ki? Tuzigaba. Ate twetaaga discipline mu ssente ezo. Sebo taata Katikkiro abakulu bano bagambe siwola ssente za kuwasa mukazi wakubiri. Naye bwe ziba nga ssente za kuweerera mukenye muto mu myaka 30 mu maaso agenda ofuuka ensonga ayita abakenya abalala 10 wano, ezo we ziri mbungi. Kishengezaako tegeeza, we need financial discipline. I'm very much aware that we have different business stakeholders around here. Omukulu oyo Bruhani yantegeera wiki twalina financially trusted training neba private directors within Lubaga district, Lubaga division under Napeya. Forum eyo twali tusomesa abantu engeri gye balina okukwata mu ssente, accountability, amasomero gaffe okuvaayo. Nemba wa kasitole kamu nti ba director abasinga ekitubonyaabonya oba ba business stakeholders abalala mwenna bwe mutuuka ku budde obw'okuba budget muba abantu nga 10 oba 2 oba 5 mukuba budget yaki? Budget ugitegeera? Budget etegeerekeka? Naye kashi bw'atuuka ku akawunti director n'anyiiga emize gye emituufu egy'obunoonyi bwa ssente gye gikulembera. Baasasula okumpeereza y'obukadde 6 awo Basasula kumperezeyo obukadde 3. Now, at the end of the day, budget ne mugitta. N'otandika okubeera nga buli kadde gwe weewola ku manerenda. Buli kadde gwe okubeera gundi akasimu. Anti ebijanjalo byaweddeyo ku ssomero. Naye singa tutwala obuvunaanyizibwa mu bizinesi zonna gye tulimu, si masomero gokka, bwe mumaze otula wansi ne mukola budgets zino, muzitambulireko, muzireke zikole. Mwe mujje ng'omulimu gwammwe omuzungu akiyita checks and balances. Bwe twagamba obukadde 20 bwe bwatudde nti ye. Muleme kubeera nga director omu yagenda okwewola ssente ne bazimuwa. Alina ekiruubirirwa. Ndabye community erimu abasiraamu bangi. Ninja kwogera ku bakatoliki. Bwe yali atambula nga gwakafa akasanyusa akabaala ng'atuula. Bwe yatuula ng'atandika ne Nairo esooka. Enkoko ng'eruma. Ne chips ng'akola ki? Yaaya taata nsonyiwa. Naye ndi mu kusomesa. Amangu aga aba atudde bw'ati. Ekyengera kya Mungu kikola ki? Ekyengera bwe kyayitawo ng'asanyukira ddala. Ng'akituuza. Ng'akiwa. Ng'ali emmere y'omubiri n'eyaki? Kati ekyengera kyali kigezi okusinga kwani? Ku director. Nga kikwata simu. Owange enfunya azirina yanguwa. Buli ng'ajja. Kitegeeza atono yazamazeeko. Ayambadde bulungi. Iteeka nga bonnange. Nawe tuula. Yamaliriza alidde emmere emeka. Agenda okeera ku makya we yali asuze ng'engoye wallet ne ssente engoye zaali mu benseni nga nnyinnyike wallet ne ssente n'amasimu tebiriiwo. Ssente yali azeewoze. Yo banki esigaleeko nkono ekola ki? Budget yekoze eki? Omuzungu agamba tutte village excitement. Naddala nga tufunye ssente. Tustikinge ku mulamwa omuki ogwa ssente. Bakenye mbaagala nnyo. Kamba we bannange bano babeeyanjulire ate bawe ku products ezimu ze tukola ki? Amiina.
Amanya gange nze Abraham Kakoza nga ndi relationship officer w'ebyokwewola. Era nga nze gw'otuukirako mu banka ng'ozze oyagadde ssente. Ne ttiimu yange gye nzize wano nayo Stewart omukyalo yagenda okwogera ku bya saving okutereka ffe bennyini bwe mutuukirako. Ng'era ekisinza otuleeta wano okubayitiramu ku products ne bye tutunda tuzze okutunda olunaku olwaleero. Tuyina business loans nga ali mu business. In fact, buno obudde ng'olina obwetaavu wandivudde wano nga ne application yawedde dda kubanga amagoba gengenda okubanyumiza waneno malungi nnyo. Ekisookebwako tuyina loan eya business etandikibwako ng'otutte ssente ntonotono kuva $3 paka bukadde 5 zonna tugaba, naye nga amagoba gatandikira ku 19% paka ku 24%. Tegeeza ki ekyo? Eya 24% kitegeeza omwezi eba 2%. Kitegeeza nti n'akakadde kamu kampa amagoba ga $20 omwezi gumu. Bwe mba nkuwadde akakadde olunaku olwaleero mu mwezi gumu kakomyawo n'emitwalo emeka? 2. Naye ate ogenda ng'oyongeza ssente ate n'amagoba gye gakoma okukendeera. Owulira ate we nkugamba nti nno kati ogenda banga osasula gumu kakaaga kakadde emitwalo 2 gye nkugamba giri mukendeera kakadde. Mbawadde example esinza okuba ennyangu ennyo ng'oli mu kubala obukadde n'emitwalo 2 gy'oli mu kusasula buli mwezi. ne tuyita ku kya school fees loan ng'olina obwetaavu ng'oli stuck nga weetaaga ssente okuzza abaana ku ssomero era naffe ffennyini tusobola okuweza ssente za ttaamu n'osobola okuzzayo omwana speed kasita oba ng'olina ki ebyogera ku mwana ku ssomero tusobola okuwa ssente. Ekirala tulina ne looni z'abalimi. Suubira wano tulina abalimi in fact wano mu Uganda ndoza buli omu mulimi kubanga ettaka lyaffe n'owoosula wennyini osobola oteekawo ekijanjalo ne kikulirawo, so ffenna tuli balimi. Abalimi tusobola bawa looni eya season okusinziira season bwetambudde, oluvannyuma lw'emyezi 2, myezi 3 oba ne mu mwaka ng'oyagadde osasulamu emirundi 2. Abali mu mmwanyi, kasooli, byonna tulina looni ez'obulimi. Turnaround time yaffe, turnaround time tegeeza obudde bwe tumala nga tugaba zino ssente kubanga otuukirira ewaffe oba olina obwetaavu. So tusobola omala ennaku ezo 2, 3 kisinziira speed gy'ompadde. Bwe nkugamba tino leetera kino, leetera LC, leeta account tugigulewo, bagalantazi baliwa, ebintu bwe bityo. Oba ng'obiweereza mu lunaku lumu, zompa ennaku 2 oba lunaku lumu oba oli ndi kumpi niraba nti no looni ngikuwadde. Tulina ne looni z'amasomero. Ng'oli wano oli school director, oyagala ssente kumaliriza kizimbe, oyagala ssente ku running essomero, working capital okwongera mu ssomero, ebintu byonna tusobola okuguzaawo akawunti ey'essomero n'oba ng'osobola ofuna school pay. Kubanga zino ennaku school pay taasiza abadirectors bangi okulaba nti no ssente bali babaasa tebakyazikwata directly. Atula ku ssimu ye bw'ati ng'alaba leero nnyingiza millions zino 10, nnyingiza million 2 directly school pay. Ate advantage eri awo oba nga akawunti yo eya Ugaford ogikozesa. Bwenzijira ate tulina loan gye tuleese y'oyo omuntu akozesa akawunti ye gye bayita small business fund. Small business fund eno loan gye tusazeewo gye twataddewo okugabira ababadde basevinga naffe oba nga akawunti zaabwe ziri active ng'eri ku 10%. 10% ate awo kakadde kamu mu mwaka, kakadde kamu kampa amagoba ga $1,000. In fact we ngabanyaamu 10% ziba meka 0.8 kaba 8 onfuna. So tulina products nyingi zensobola okubayitiramu wano eno. Waliwo endala gye njagadde obongerako eno ey'okubanga oyagadde okumalayo okugula akamotoka, kugula akataka, bagita asset acquisition loan. Ng'olina obwetaavu ng'oyagala gula eno emmotoka, oyagala gula eno ettaka, tukumalirayo butundu 7, 70%. Bukasita oba ng'olina 30% ku kyogenda ogula emmotoka ya bukadde 10, ng'olinako obukadde bwo 3, ffe ne tukongerazaako ki 7. So asset acquisition loan tuzirina nazo. Tulina ne micro mortgage loan y'okuzimba. Ng'oyagala maliriza kizimbe kyo tandika okuyingiza abapangisa batandika okusasula ssente zijje ku bbanka, eyo nayo tugirina ey'okuzimba. Munzikirize nkome wano nsobole okuwa chance ku bannange basobole okubongera ku products kubanga otunaaviira wano nsuubira tugenda kufuna tusobola okubiyitamu byonna then tugenda kufuna ebibuuzo byonna mulundi unless
So the Royal Highness Katikkiro wamu n'abakulembeze mwenna nsanyusa okubalaba. Erinnya n'eddoboozi nze Kintu Stewart nga ndi credit officer mu Ugaford. Nze nno olwaleero naye ngenda gatta eddoboozi ku bannange abavuddewo okwogera nga nze ngenda bayitira mu product ya business loan. Kyemmanyi nti buli omu ali wano yali akozeko ka business yonna yonna. Ugaford tulina business loan era nga tuzifinansingira ddala okuviira ddala ku $1,000,000 wamu n'okwambuka waggulu. requirements za business loan mu bumpimpi kubanga olw'obudde ekisookera ddala client alina okuba ne business erabwako gye tusobola okujja ne tulambulako sinakindi ne tufuna ku kifaananyi bw'aba akyetaaze. Bajja kwetaagayo abamweyimirira babiri. Mu kusookera ddala alina okusooka n'aggulawo akawunti naffe. Akawunti eyo ye muyambako kubanga senga loan process yonna eba ewedde sente z'aba requestinze ziteekebwa ku akawunti ye. So kitegeeza alina okubawo ne bizinensi nga singa obuze n'ogamba nti njagalayo miliyoni nga 2 oba n'okwambuka oba 3, capital ali mu bizinensi eyo alina okuba nga at least agikubisaamu. Business loan tetutera nnyo kuwa batandika wabula tufinansinga bizinesi ezifunyeemuko ezitambula, weebale nnyo, ezitambula ze tufinansinga client ne tulaba nga yeeyongerako. Sina nnyo bingi byakwogerera olw'obudde, mbadde njagala kubayitiramuko eyo product. Mwebale kutuwuliriza.
Ssebo Katikkiro mbalamusiza. Bannyabo ne bassebo nsanyusa obbalaba. Erinnya Namiro Sharon era nga nze mu bufunze ngenda kwogera ku product z'okutereka si kwewola. Tuterekera ddala ssente okuvira ddala wansi. Oba olina meka, tulina account za ssekinoomu, tulina account za group, bantu babiri mwagala kwasiganyiza wamu mutereke ssente zammwe. Tulina ez'amasomero, tulina account za company, tulina account za business. Buli kimu kyonna kyonna obwetaavu bwonna era tenti yaffe eri awo wansi buli ayagala okwogerako naffe okusinga wano. Ebyetaago basically kafaananyi na ID n'emitwalo 2 tuba tukugulirawo account. Account tekusala, abamuyinza oba mweralikirira ze tubasala omwezi, account ya bwereere. Era ekuwa amagoba kisinzira ekika kya account kyoyagala. Kankomaawo.
Tweyanziza. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ekibuuzo kyange kigenda kubuuza ebibuuzo oba 3 byokka. Ekisooka musangibwawa olw'ensonga nze ndi wa Molatari nga temuliyo nja basangawa. Ekyokubiri nze ayagala okuzimba akayumba, renti yange ebeetya ya monthly oba ya year. Ekyo ndoza mukitegedde mwe basomi. Ekyokusatu omusajja eyayita mu lodge n'akasente n'akawuuta banka yamukolera ki? Assalamu alaikum.
Kakati ekisooka ogambye obadde obuuza ku kyokubanga ebitundu ebimu tetuliimu. Olwaleero ngenda kuwa example ya wano. Tuyinza okuba tuli abantu nga 2 naye ate communication egenda okuva wano eweereddwa omukulu oyo eweereddwa buli abadde wano egenda tuuka mu bantu mitwalo na mitwalo oba bukadde nga bakozesa ki? Kitegeeza nti ensi yakyuka. Kasita oggulawo akawunti n'omukyalo ono oba naffe ebisigadde biri ku ssimu. Bw'oba onaafuna looni olumala okujjuzaamu buli kimu ne tukola approve gwekebera ku ssimu yo era n'okusasula kubeera kwa ssimu. Kyova olaba branch ey'e Kampala we twogerera egenda n'akasongola n'engabayo bukadde 2. Kasita kizuula nti enkolaganayo omuzungu bwe tuba tukola microfinance balina kye bayita 5 C's. Omukulu yayogedde ku 4 C's. Neffe tulina 5. Bwe ziba nga zikwatagana byonna byanguwa. Akalala obuuziza kati nti singa oba oli mu kuzimba. Kati okuzimba ekyo kikolwa naye ate waliwo ky'otulaga kyekigenda okuvaamu ssente. Okugeza tulina looni y'omulimi nga mu mwaka asasulamu emirundi 2. Bwe bagikuwa kati kwata emyezi 6 otekeyo installment esooka, olinde emyezi emirala 6 otekeyo ssente ezisembayo, emirundi egyo. Looni y'amasomero nze nga atwala mu Uganda gasasula taamule. Bwe nkuwa obukadde 10 tubugabanya mu taamu meka, era osasula emirundi emeka muki wabyawo. Omusajja gw'osembyeyo okumbuuzaako gwe singa guwa muwola ssente n'owulira emboozi eyo gezaayo noonekamu wali muwadde kirabo ki? Allah akunkuumire.
Protocol observed, badde nsaba ntambulire mu protocol eyo already eyayanjuddwa. Amanya nze James Asaba era nga nkola ne bannange bano, era nze communications manager. Nga sinaba kwogera kyange, badde nsaba nyongereze ku kya mukama wange kyayogedde ekyamusangibwawa. Ugaford ina branch 28 okwetooloola eggwanga, era tiimu gy'olaba wano evudde ku head office ku Bombo Road nga wakasala mu bitaala by'e Wandegeya. Era eside eno tulina branch Ejjinja, Embaale awamu ne Lira. So kati owambalata Lira esobola okuweereza naye nga ate okusinga bw'okozesa essimu yo, kubanga bw'oggulawo akawunti tukuteeka ku mutimbagano gwa star 230 n'oteekako ssente ng'oli onna gy'oli, tewetaaga kujja mu banka. Ebintu omukama wange agambye ensi yakola ki? Ensi yakyuka. So kati nze kindeese okwongereza ku maanyi ago. Bakasitoma ddala muli bangi olwaleero, tuyinza obutabakolako mwenna omulundi gumu, naye bw'oba oyagadde okumanya ebitufaako n'okweyongera otumanya, genda ku mutimbagano, genda ku TikTok, genda ku Instagram, genda ku mutimbagano gwonna gw'omanyi, wandikamu ekigambo Ugaford, ojja kuba ng'otulaba bulungi. Osobola n'otugoberera n'oyigirako ebintu ebirala nga okusevinga, okutereka ebisobola okuyamba ate naawe mu makaago. Mbebaziza nnyo, mwebale ddala.
Ntwala akazindalo kano kawo omukulu ono, mwenye kumyenfuna mubaamu ebibuuzibwa. Omukulu alina ekintu kyayogeddeko n'agamba nti alina abaana 10 bameka mu maama ki? Kati ngenda bawa ekigambo kino. Bamama mumpulirize, ekikuuma omukwano gwo n'ebbanka neeyisa nnungi. Gwe omusajja bw'omala operereza omwana w'abandi omuwala n'amuvinga in mu makaago, kikakatako okwongera okukola ebirungi byokka okunyweza omukwano gwo n'obufumbo n'ebbanka bweri. Mukama mulungi.
Neyanzirye nnyo. Subira ina tumulolo wawulira. Okay, neyanziza nnyo. By the names Bali Kitenda Ali Hamza Mariko. Ekibuuzo kyange mbuuza, baagala nti aboyogeddeko bateeka kuba ba memba kubanga si ba memba. Another question. Salary loan temuzogeddeko. Mwembanga ndi musalary loan. Nange mumpa, what I mean, ngafuna salary. Mumpa salary loan. Kyekyo. Neyanzanyi.
Eri mukama wange Katikkiro ow'ekitiibwa Yaaya, bamembers mwenna, abakulembeze abalungi. Ekibuuzo kyange mbadde siwakwogera naye mbuuza ow'ebbanka tisobola okuba nga nfunye loan then nenfunamuko obuzibu nga ndi meto okulipootinga nga 15 nezijja ne ziyitamu, munkola mutya? Penalties ki ze mumpa? Kyekyo kibuuzo kyange.
enziremu ekyasoose ekyabagaranta kasita aba nga aweza emyaka 18 ng'alina obuvunaanyizibwa alina endangamuntu oyo abagaranta si ekisoose taata. Ekyokubiri tuli mu kukola marketing department eri mu kukola ku kibadde ogamba ekya SAE loans because SAE loan erina ebintu byeyogerako ebyenjawulo mu gavumenti okimanyi nti bwogenda okufuna looni balina kye bayita koodi okimanyi oba wale gye balina gye bayita memorandum erina okukolebwa mu makati ga banka n'ekitongole nti ebiseera ebisinga tewetaaga nteekayo musingo omusaala gwe kukola ki so bali mu kukola research eyo ate bajja tuddira naye ate mu masomero singa director abanga muntu waffe tubale tumuwa ssente n'atukolera akabaluwa omusomesa tumwanguyiza anti yabangula eggwanga. Amiina. Mukama wange kyobuuza kati kyendeeta. Ekisinza okwonoona ngenda kudda ku bufumbo kubuza communication. Bw'oba omaze okufuna looni ofunyemu obuzibu abasinga mwebalaba amasimu g'abasomesa abo. Kati ye n'atuuka nga atalina okuvuga emmotoka oba eggaali atuuke gwe w'alina okukunoonyeza. Naye bw'ofuna obuzibu nga butegeerekeka siraba nsoka kiba tumukubira munnyonnyola. Ate teri banka eyinza kutuga ng'obadde osasula nga 15 olaba waliwo n'abasasula nga wayisewo ennaku 6. Mukama mulungi nga ate batunze byabwe. Naye kye nazuula mu bintu bya banka bino buli muntu alina lugero lulwe lwayogerera banka. Naye ojja genda noonyereza nnyo abasinga ozoogerera obubi era olumu babaamu obufere. Mukama mulungi. Kyokka ate bezijjeeyo gye bali basirise nga yaggamba natandika n'emitwalo 3 okwewola mu Centenary oba mu banka gundi oba mu Ugaford ndi ku bukadde 5 tubalina mu Ugaford nga yatandika n'emitwalo 5 bwe tugeera ali mu bukadde 10. So naawe osobola okubeera ekyokulabirako ekyo. Bane mbadde nsaba ngire sensoni yange yaweddeyo dda naye okuyiga ate kikulu.
Nze anaasembayo simanyi. Manyi kikwata ku ssente kikwata ku muntu yenna ndowooza kuba bwe bulamu. It's part of life. So temukoowa. Amanya n'eddoboozi Nkereye James obayisa abirye. Ekibuzo kyange tekijja kuba kinene nnyo bakiwanvu nnyo. Njagala kulungamizibwa kubanga kati kyemanyi abali wano bonna ayinza okuba nga balina loans awalala balina bazina nnyingi. Tuzi nkigenda direct nga mbuuza singa mbanga nina loan somewhere oba with another bank. Sebo nzikirizibwa okujja ewammwe era musobola okumpa loan.
Kati ekibuzo kirungi nnyo. Bamaama ab'ewaka njagala nnyo kukozesa example eziri ku ndomo understanding ezira wansi. Obeera n'abaana ewaka maama oyo asooka kugamba mutabani wange oyo mwadde emmere entono mwongere. Nakyo mu banka ojja nakusanga omusajja nga ku CRB ogimanyi? CRB bagita mu Credit Reference Bureau gwe mutimbagana okutugatta mu banks zonna oba oli mu Ugaford oba oli mu ki osanga nalina loans 15. Kasita oba nga bizinensi yo yeetengeredde era esobola osobola okufuna mu Centenary obukadde 5 n'enkuba obukadde 3 ewange. Amiina. Kasita bizinensi ng'ekola ki? Ekyo kikulemesa. Essimu zange 075 99 03255. Nze nnyinza okukulwisa nga nkubidde sikwata olw'obudde. Bano babawa ennamba bano.
Enamba yange Abraham Kakoza Gemanya 0775 95 16 36. Near Airtel 0701 Abraham Kakoza gemanya 0701 36 5160.
Namiro Sharon ow'ebyokutereka 0754 34 9767 0754 34 9767 0754 34 9767.
Business Generation, Chintu Stewart, 0704 0704 777 841. MTN 078 79 69 213.
Nze nja kusaba buli alina smartphone genda ku TikTok tekamu ekigambo Ugaford nga tuli wano ffenna. Sagala osubwe ate okinoonye nga sikyaliwo. Kozi yagambye eki? Yagambye Yuga ki? Kati teekamu essaawa eno obe nga osigalako tukwatagane bulungi naye nga abasomesa ndooza enamba zijja kumalira si bwe kiri? Tubalinze wansi wano mu katenti kaffe.
Tubakubire ku mungalo mwebale. Buli ataka ebisinge bingi biri awo wansi etente eriwo. Ebyesente biba bityo buli omu ataka esente. Ati ano kansabeze n'obusungu nja kumalira kubayiraku. Iwe munange iza kansala honarebo omaite natekaku ebigambo byange. Kobo bubaka omukenya omunaisuzi ija bwakutumire kyonka mudakiika moiza.
Your Highness, Baba Yaya, twala okusiima olw'okutegeka ekintu kino. Katiikiro waisu, abakulu b'ebika mwena mwena, abaminisita n'abakulembeze banange nga bwe tusoboire okuyiza omukolo guno ogwa induction. Twala okusiima okubaawo kw'omugenyi omukulu webala okuyiza ow'ekitiibwa. Twala okusiima okubaawo kwa komisiona atutwaire mu kututendeka n'okutukobera. Bakenye mwena mwena guno mulamwa gwaisu era gutwetaagisa okubaawo. Nga bwe bamalira okututendeka nga era bakaali batutendeka, nsaba bwe batukobera okola katubukole. Mwikirire mbakobera amayina gange Nyinzo Maliko, Nyinzo Bali Kitenda era Nyimba Hamza. Ndi Mukoma, nzaalibwa omugenzi Sulaimaani Wankya agalamiire n'amalere mu Kityerera mu Mayuge District. Nzaalibwa Nambe akaali aliwo akaali ambonako sena akaali mubonako. Nyinzo District Councillor w'Ekityerera akiika ku lukiiko olukulu lwa district y'e Mayuge. Ndi wano mu bitiibwa bibiri bya chairman nanzo mwene ng'ate yeena Mukoma. Ankobere mbakoba ebigambo bino mu dakiika mweza. Abakoma bali wano omukisa guno, Abakenya bali wano omukisa guno mugukozesye. Alina omwana eyasomere ewe tulanga emirimu mubaleete. Ekyokubiri ankobere mbakobe musomesya abaana. Ekyokusatu era nga niyo ekisembayo ankobere bali lwedde okukola resolution yona yona ngeri buli district we tuli kutaka mu Busoga oba mu Uganda yona yona okubanga ekakasa nti Abakenye bali mu kitundu ekyo tuli lwedde okukola resolution eyo. Abakenye mwikirire enkomaawo obwire bwabireira nandibaire nsobola okutumula paka ni bukya olw'okuba nti obwire tuli na butono. Ntwala okusiima yaaya n'okwikirira otukulembera banaye tuli basanyufu. Wena baire nga nkaali muto wabangawo kibayitanga nti bakenye isanga nga buli wenkyagaana wantu wona nga mpulira kusaino. Nateranga okubawa yaaya eyo ekayunga nga yaaya tukubere yaaya nzaala ebaye namake kayunga. So nga abakenye isanga nga tuliyo bikiko nga buliyo bungi ino nga wempulira nti bakenye isanga banaye nga nsanyuka kuba niyo olulimi lwange. Nsangaire ino ebiseera byo mbaire nkolera masindi nga batera kunjeta nti ndi munyarwanda nga mbakobera nti bendi mukenye era nvawa mayuge. So abakenye mwe balokwiza mbeho Katonda kuno. Wenaawo kanje tumuganda wange okubwe Buvuma oyo mukuru wange mama mweza na yaaya mweza aye niyakike eyo Buvuma yeji yasengukire era we yatukire ye n'abavuma ni bamwesiga ni bamuwa obukuru. Maita abakenye tutambwire ino ate omukenye walinga ku mukenye mwinaye eyamuwa buli kyali kutaka. Msangaire dati.
Yaaya wabakenye ni mama obukenye bubeewo Katikkiro mukaire waisu webala omusomo gwotutwairemu. Owekitiibwa omugenyi omukulu tuli basanyufu. Abakiise swena tuyizira n'olunaku lwati ndi musanyufu ino olw'olunaku lwati luno. Ndi musanyufu olw'obukenye bw'olwati luno. Kasookedde tubeewo guno omulundi gwange ndowooza gwokubiri olw'okusanyukira eri obukenye. Olunaku olusooka nirwo olunaku olutwalondera yaaya ow'abakenye. Olunaku lwange olwokubiri nirwo olw'olwati luno okutulaga mukaire waisu eyabaawo ku lwaisu swena. Katikkiro yaaya webale kutuwa Katikkiro. Katikkiro webale kutweta. Bakaire bange ndi musanyufu ino aye kamba kobere kamalina gange ninze kyaye Abdul Majid omutani wa Sulaimani Wanche omugenzi azaliwo omukyala Kanyi Safina Nabirye nga nze ndi mukoma ng'ate mukaire wange Naibira oba Mumbeya. Basebo ne banyabo ndi mukulembeze edi ebuvuma nga ninze kansala kikira abantu abalina obulemu ku mibiri gyabwe ku disitulikiti ey'Obuvuma. Chairman wange LC5 Matia Ocheng Nixon abatumire ino olw'olukiiko luno n'olw'obukenye buno. Yasiimire nampa ekitiibwa ekyokuba sekutale we wa Works, Technical Services, Production and Social Services. Olwati tuli wano ng'ate tuli bakenye. Embeera gyaisu swenswena abakenye gye tukolera mu gy'obuvubi maybe nibigoberera. Ebuvume gye mpangaalira ate President waisu omuse wa Uganda yalondere Honorable Robert Migade Ndugwa nga niyo omukiise waisu w'ebuvuma okuba Minister wa State w'ebyobuvubi. Nkoba ki nti ekitegeeza nti ndi kumpi ino naye. Ensonga gyaisu egy'obuvubi gyatubeera nyangu ino okutuuka eri minisita oyo gisobola okutambula yaaya n'abakenye swena. Bakaire bange obwire bwabireira ate nga tuli wano nga zeena ndi wano ng'ebigambo ebyo neesungire ino bya yaaya. Kubanga yaaya waisu iswe nga bakenye tubaire tubooleberwe naye mu lwemba lw'obukenye nduwulire wano lwati oba naluwulire kukweira Mubaire mwakagamba Kakoba nti abakenye twetoolemu embeera gye twalimu eira okubonaabona oku twalimu eira tukwerabire twabye n'ebiyaka. Basebo ne banyabo mbasaba nti ng'etwalondero yaaya waiso tusaba abo bonna abali kumbali eyo abalowooza nti tiniye yaaya Katonda ayikiririe bona bayikiririe nti oyo niye yaaya w'abakenye gitwalondere. So yaaya ku lw'ebigambo ebyo muyikirirya nkomaawo Katonda akubeere.
Twongera abatumuli abazwako engalo. Ntawo kusiima okubaawo kwa Nkoye Emmanuel Babalanda ng'oli museregwe ate ng'oli director wa True Care Junior School e Bulenga Mityana Road. Yemerera kutukubona. Niyo omwami oyo akobere. Imwe abakenya balina abaana abali wansi mu primary awo mumubonere kimu n'enamba gy'amasimu giri wano ati naagisome kasa mubalagire wuuyo. Munjikiririe njiri y'akazindaalo kano ekituleetere orientation. So mukulu Kawuta commissioner abaatutwalamu essaawa ntono giti tulina bageni bangi tulina batumuli bangi abandi olw'obwire mbasalireku ekibibi kyabe nanze ebisaba ebyo n'abakenye mwena. Amina. Mwire mukusa ebibibi byabe nanze okubayimba akazindaala bandi. So nsaba mwami Kawuta aire engulu kuba tuyizirano lw'ekintu ekyo ate program gikajawo mu maiso mwebale okuyikirira yaaya webale okugumiikiriza omugeni mukulu webale okugumiikiriza prime minister webale byokolere byonna. Tusiimire ekyemisana tubaye tukaali okusiima buli omu aliire azwire muuku amaizi mu mutwe ne mu mpaata tumukubire ku mu ngalo katuukiro n'abategesi mwena mwebale.
Mwasonyiwa ntwereke keetu kiri lwebugumu so munsonyiwe ku ekyo. Might levels, the higher you climb, even the dress code changes. So that's why I'm begging for forgiveness. Tintwereke kintu kiri olw'weather gye tulimu essaawa. Ati hano omukulu abakulu timaite engeri nafunzaamu ebintu bino. There are 3 remaining sessions. But I want to try to really try to concretize them within the time frame given. Nensa omukulu Prime Minister yansonyiwa kubanga nze gizirenga na kutumula lunaku lulamba naye buli kintu ekiriwo kisa so twabiraawo. Now I want to bring out these documents that why did I carry this document here. Takamofune kusaine no executive members. Te document eno njiretere ngekyo kuonerako ekyentaka institution yaiswe benacho. You need to have a strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan. So this is just a leaf. But we have got many technologies within you yourselves who have the capacity to work on a similar document of this nature for the good of this institution. In a government, nenga a process yona, maybe a tax yona, be the same. I want to give you an example of what has happened. Those other traditional institutions, cultural institutions. This is a shopping tool, a basket. If you are looking for resources, if you are looking for donors, government partners support your institution, this is what you must have. Prime Minister Amaite Kusa, why I brought this document. This is your shopping basket. You go no one support you from any entity of government, even from government partners. So you must have it. And others have already worked on it. But what I want to add, it has been in tandem with the government processes. If for us we are working based on financial years, Why do you want to have yours using calendar years? Because when you are big, you have to follow. That's what I talked about in terms of collaboration. You have to fit in. That if we are working for us government, we are using financial years. Why don't you also come up with one which also speaks to ours, the National Development Plan? I'd already told you that a National Development Plan, able to trade all of us, all the entities of government, hours for each institution. So we are cascading the NDP4 into the entity strategic plans. To tell them all the area modinze get to Muirad. In trade objective is that building Gireku. It was direct first and integrate to come up with this one. Even the objective which I pulled out from the NDP4 is what we are building on as cultural institutions. More so on issues of ethics and integrity, issues of values. Anybody nga tuli ademeri alabaganda nga baizakata nengo tumwire nga luzungu lwerere nenkata tano mutaka nkole ntya so ekanga ezya kukyusamu enti iswe nga cultural institution yaiswe yabakenye nga tunoonya buyambi tunoonya kuyambibwa n'omuntu yeena n'ekitongole kyonkyonna ekitaka otuwa obuyambi oba sente oba otukolera niki tulina okuba nekintu kino ne document enji tweta strategic plan oba plani gye mutambulirako ng'institution yanywe muteekemu ebirowoozo byanywe muteekemu ebintu mutaka bikolewe mu period y'emyaka 5 tiswe nga bakenye kino kye tusobola okukola ni kitaka okukola mukiteeko muwandiike muno ntoba nekitawo nga kino kyayamba Prime Minister ne tiimu ye okunoonya kye mutaka on your behalf. Nenge ndooza yoyona, ndooza yanywe, n'endoota yanywe yoyona, whatever you have for the good of this institution, inakuba documenting in. Kyebanjireetere mugiwonereku. Era nkobere nti mulimu abayigiesi bali ano bangi basobola okutuyamba nga task force and they come up with this. I want to give you an example of what happened in Mbale of recent. To the president and other dignitaries were going to Mbale to Bugisu Cultural Institution to launch this. Am I lying? To launch this for the Bugisu Cultural Institution. It's no longer Bamasava, if you didn't know. It's now Bugisu Cultural Institution. You are aware of the battles that have been happening on their side. It's now Bugisu Cultural Institution. Kine kindu cha muwendo ino. Ono president akulochinge chembali cha Bagisu. Not something small. So you must have it. Because for your own good. It's because for your own benefit. And you without it, mutambula nga tukwa tukimulugwere. Ngenta megigotere. Awangeri ya ukulukulu. Ukulukulu chiri mu Kenya. Okulukulu chiri mu Kenya. How do you call that? Sekoko. That's Luganda, is it? Is it in Kenya? I don't know. Okay, sekoko. Ndio sekoko auru kama kezi. Aira. Tintakatu betutio. Ntobo simbire eyo. Tweochiri ajozwere ile ntwakangaika be. So inokubane road map. Gyotambulirako. Inokubana aki nebigendo lije mutambulirako. Ngaberi muwandike. This is what I'm emphasizing. Ile mtaka okola byebyo bisa nebibyo na mubiteeko muwandike. And this is the document. Now I'm also saying, in interest of time, mwina katawo kanu. Mwina copies ye nyingi jangavire. If you read this document, you understand why we need a clearance charter as a cultural institution. Do you need one? If you have read this document here, do you need one? Because it's a covenant between you, the cultural institution, and the wananchi, your subjects, on what you want to offer them, and how they should access your services, and how you give them feedback. I've summarized this document. Do you need one? That's the food for thought for you, as the leaders here. Do you need one? The last one, Prime Minister, do you need a code of conduct and ethics? Because each institution of government has got a code of conduct and ethics. And then there's the other universal, the code of conduct and service, ethics of the public service. So I've visited your colleagues elsewhere. They have devoted one to manage yourselves in terms of discipline, in terms of behavior, in terms of ethical conduct. Do you need a code of conduct to regulate your conduct? On the do's and don'ts of your constitutions, called are those ones who are going to preach. The Okabanti, Aruakata to see code of conduct, Nkauranu, Negakata, Konaka Barungami Mompisa Janyo and leaders. In Tobo Soberie, Bakoesa Kawai, Wairo, Limokata wako, Oku, Chiwone Rezui, all Kumenya, even to be no Jaiswe, even to be Wanga, where Iswe, Bakoesa Katawa, Okata, name Nange or Chamiri. You obitide ta tofu to wasanire. Akatawa Koniaka Guidinga, you won't piss at you. Kubanga already have the cultural norms, which you must be compliant with. You won't go menya or take a take or Quatagana swing of BAKENYE, Obobeya, Taco Sakatawako, who could display in Gai. That's what I'm saying. So, do you need a code of conduct and ethics? What's the code of conduct? If the do's or don'ts, what about ethics? Is what you ought to. In case you're Dr. Ariane, what about the Rangamo Singapore? Code of conduct is what is it about? It's about the do's and don'ts of that given society. That if you breach some of those, there are penalties on you. But the ethics, where I'm coming from, is what you ought to be. By no behaving good. Can I give you an example? And a funny one. Can I get a yen? And the woman says, Omufumbo, or in Amaka. By no Kwekisianga will say from time to time you are the head of family. Is that a tricky one? Should they keep on reminding you that you are the head of the family? If you know you are responsible that you are. And it should be used to talk with authority that I'm the head of the family. So do you need to be reminded that you are the father of those children by your wife? Do they have to remind you that it's your responsibility to pay tuition for your children? That's what you ought to be, or to what to be doing as the head of what? Family. Just as an example, those are just examples. So the question that I'm leaving to the Prime Minister and your team is that do you need to develop a code of conduct and ethics? Second, you have the capacity to do it. If you don't have the capacity, then we are there to work together with you, come up with one. To regulate you who have been sworn in today. Tutakamtambulo zigizaga mtambulo mateka. Timweswaza mbe role models mbe chokuonerako. Tobe minister ngatuli role model. Tobe head of clan if you are not a role model. Your actions will depict whether you are worthy. I just want to summarize those 3 documents. I am leaving out this other one because it's more technical, applying to us in government, that you have to have self-delivery standards. Because for us, it's a must, each entity of government, you have to have them. If you read the document, if you have time, you get to see and to know what I'm talking about. For us, a requirement for all entities of government, all MDAs are local governments, to have this document here. So for us, it's not optional. But maybe, I don't want to talk about it, but when his team reads this copy of this, maybe they'll pick some interest in it. What are self-delivery standards and why should we have them for a cultural institution like yours? Okay, let's go to that. That is a hot cake. What are your roles? What's the role of cultural leaders in promotion of ethics and integrity in society? Yeah. There are those ones that you know, there are those ones that you forgotten. I don't want to say that you don't know. There are those ones that you know, and there are those ones that you have what? Forgotten. This is a reminder, a refresher for us during this induction. As custodians, cultural leaders are responsible for passing on norms and values from generation to generation. I'm not reading the entire bullet. I'm just picking out that one. Passing on the cultural norms and values from generation to generation. I want to remind you that you are not the first in this culture institution, in this culture. Our predecessors of 1,000 years ago have been doing that from generation to generation. Now we assess your responsibility now also to do the same. Passing on your culture, norms, and values. What's the difference between norms and values? Abaluzungu kade munkobera kaisi. Kitatu mulenge bigambo ngatete ebikwaite okusa. What's the difference between norms and values? Kyano de musomesi atenda Sun Commission akadi? What's the quick answer and we move on? Yes,
Ndowooza nti nijjo enono n'ensa ey'obuwangwa.
Enono n'ensa ey'obuwangwa. Manange, ebintu ebyo mulowooza nti mmala biseera, but I want to understand his words. What are norms? Ate atwala mu Luzungu, what are norms? Doctor tuyambe kaisi awo kaisi. Unwritten rules, laws can also be unwritten rules. Dr. Wabano, they are universal rules that children should abide by. To cover auntie, even your cultural institution has got the norms which are unwritten that you've been passing on and you have continued passing on to your children, younger generation. I don't know. How do you demonstrate respect here in your culture as an example? Respect, the value of respect. How do you demonstrate it to the younger generation? Yes, sir. Kusukiri abantu bosinka ino monzira, even if they are strangers to you, greetings a must. That's what my culture also has been telling me for the time I've lived. Okay? How do you exercise the respect in your culture? As an example. Yes, sir. Kwe ngombe kango sukira tubo. Amo Buganda baada baiswe asi. Neje na ona asi. Kaisi nyo wanyo ano. Tona chiti. So you can't keep it you. I'm just using one value of respect. You see? So they are unwritten. Are they written? They are not. Yes, I'm saying. Omukalo kwembala engwe gisanire, decent dressing by our women, our ladies, our wives. Is it written anywhere? But that's what we believe in. It should be passed on from generation to generation. I can't example again. You might really go again. Musaiza aba mukali. Okay, that's what he knows. But we are trying to amplify the meaning of norms and values. The norms are written laws or unwritten what? Rules. But they are within us in our culture. They are unwritten. That's just an example. Okay? So we are saying you are the custodians in that first bullet. Or passing. And this word here is responsible for passing on those norms and values from generation to generation. Your Highness and the Prime Minister, I want to tell your people here. You will not pass on what you don't understand or what you don't believe in as a leader in this room. So the beginning point is you is here. To cherish these values, to cherish these norms. That's when you'll be in position to pass them on. And even to know them. Tosomesyo kyotamaite. Okyotayikiririyamu. You'll be lying yourself. You cannot. Because we don't want you to maybe you even start disseminating what you don't understand and it will affect our society as BAKENYE. So you have to be factual. Because these values, these norms have been passed on from generation to generation. If you don't understand those norms, what are you going to tell them? Singa nasokere kwiza no kwasomesya nga bakalo kubalayisya. Kakaba yeko na kawairo. Twagezesya mu kaisi no qualifying okulayira. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Number 2, cultural leaders administer more authority and act as role models by setting standards. That's what I've been talking about this morning. You have to be role models and you must set standards. And the standard begins from you. Why am I saying you? You have to be ethically upright, morally upright. Because you are setting a standard for who, if for you don't qualify. You don't merit for it. So when clan has to live with integrity, reject bribes, and treat people fairly, they commit a copy is that behavior. That's why I'm emphasizing the word role model. Because people are going to copy from you who is here. Who is in that position as a minister? Who is in that position as a clan head? Who is in that position as a whatever? You have to be a role model. I'm just unpacking that bullet. Continue. Your Highness, that bullet is so sensitive that cultural leaders act as mediators and conflict resolvers. Are you doing it? Are you acting as mediators and conflict resolvers? That their decisions are guided by customary law, not the ours. Do you have customary laws in your culture? For example, among the BAKENYE. What's the customary law? Is it written? Baranga takamba tumulye. Titako kusereka utumulanga utumuli. Ntakanyona mutumule. We are saying their decisions are guided by the customary law. Prioritize reconciliation over punishment by promoting forgiveness, fairness, and justice. You prevent violence and corruption in justice processes. Is that what you do? Are you exercising forgiveness? Or fuel a conflict instead? Are you exercising fairness while administering justice? Are you trying to prevent violence within your cultural institution? Are you trying to minimize corruption tendencies when administering justice? I want to give you what I've picked from northern Uganda, among the law. Among the law. The Acholis, the Langis, majorly Acholi. Among the law. There's what we call matoput. I know the gurus in the education, they get it. It's a reconciliation platform they use to mediate in any conflicts within their society there. For them, they are pushing for forgiveness. They mediate for people to avoid the conflict and forgive each other. For paying what we call fines. They don't believe in dragging people to courts of law. If they have given an opportunity, they want to settle their disputes within their cultural norms and customary laws. When somebody was murdered here, in Kampala, you called who? You remember that incident of somebody who was murdered at the Gogo bypass there from northern Uganda? When they went to court, what did they eventually resort to? Mediation. They believe in mediation. Era basaba omusango okuva mu kooti baguzeyo eggulu ono culprit agende yenenye the elders bamuwe fine where possible, and that's what happened. We are saying, Your Highness, we should minimize on dragging our issues to courts of law, because by going in there, you know the repercussions. Your case can drag on for years. That you, the leaders here, and others who are not here, should have handled at that level, of Kilani level, of His Highness level, or this team level, the ministers. Okay? Now we are saying that you are community advocates. That traditional leaders are the voice of their people, advocating for their needs and concerns to government authorities. That if you are not communicating with the government, you will not achieve that. You will not play that role. You need to communicate with government to be seen, to be heard, and to be known. If you want to be seen, then you must go out to preach, to talk, to sensitize, to disseminate whatever word you may want to use. That's when you'll be heard. And that's when government will get to know that actually there is a constitution called BAKENYE Constitution in Eastern Uganda and many other parts of the country. That's why we are saying you are the voices of your people. You are the spokespersons of your people. Because your community has needs which you should talk about with the government. That's why the other word came in collaboration. Because your people have concerns that they want to address to government through you. Now you've got a government person here who has just left them, your MP. We are saying that's part of government. Government, talking to government authorities, she's one of them. Because you pick your issues and carry them beyond what you are. Then we also say you play a critical role in resource mobilization for development projects such as schools, clinics, and infrastructure. Look at Buganda. How many schools they have in this country, in this sub-region? How many residents do they have in this Buganda sub-region? How many universities have they come up with? How many vocational institutions do they have? Your Highness, we are saying you can also have them if you decided to collaborate with the government. If you decide to use the right people to communicate with the government. If you decided to come up with that document which I'm calling strategic plan. Look at the infrastructure in our areas. How is it? That's why we are bringing these examples here. If you need them to be worked on in your communities, in your regions, in your districts where you are coming from, then you are the people to talk about that. Then that one down, is it still applicable? That's your spiritual guides. We are saying many traditional leaders hold spiritual authority, performing rituals that connect your communities to ancestral spirits. This role reinforces their moral authority and strengthens more communal bonds or bonding. Say something on that one. Omukuru, His Highness, does he perform this? Because there are others who are doing it. But there are people who are saying the times have changed. Tensi yachuka, maybe a bit. But those people are supposed to have spiritual powers. spiritual authority. They can command. I want to give you an example, but okay, the media is here, but let me say it out. There's a time we're in Boroli training, and we're in some tents outside. The Mukuru was also around, but we were not part of the meeting. But there are some rational things that happened within the premises where we were. It was going to rain heavily, but certain things were performed and the clouds disappeared. Yes. You've been in Uganda here, many of you have been in Uganda here for some time. There are certain things that happen in the Mengo there, which you think are miraculous, but this is what we are talking about. Simanyi birimu mu BAKENYE, but those things are everywhere in most cultural institutions. That our heads have got the spiritual what? Powers and authority to command certain things to happen. Yes. So, omukuru ekyo ekintu kisho kiri God given, kiri natural. There are certain things that for us human beings cannot change, but they are bound to happen. Saka uchele miracle, but that's one of the what? His role as the head of this cultural institution. He has the command, he has the authority to command certain things to happen. Much as he call them traditional way of doing things, but certain things can happen. Okay? I've given the handout. Now, why have we skipped this document here? Is it the bullet? That bullet? The next bullet there up. Sensitization on the national ethical values through clan meetings, rituals, cultural ceremonies, radio talk shows or talks to teach the national ethical values of those ones I mentioned there. This is what I will summarize last, but already I've given you an assignment with government. That in addition to all the cultural values that you have as BAKENYE institution, cultural institution, can you also talk about the 10 national values in this policy? That's why we're having that bullet. It's one of the rubimbi we've given you. Tumalo kwa temere katala abakulu muliano tutaka musomesya okatawo kano. The values ja BAKENYE ni ja government ni giriano gire kominga na gitamo luvanyuma. And that's what brings us also to collaborate with you on this document here. How can we disseminate to our subjects, to our young generation, what's contained in this policy? That's why I'm here. Mofona. The next bullet there, that many cultural leaders hold religious authority, offer spiritual guidance to members. Through this, they are able to reinforce moral authority and so it's spiritual. That's one I've already talked about it next. That was a repeat. Your Highness, a bullet here, yo. Chevam Kurad Kubeta, State House. I don't know if I can read it from there, but there's a handout there. That cultural institutions cover every village, making monitoring of such delivery efficient. Through these institutions, it's easy to track if services are effectively meeting the needs of the people, members of the community, as well as creating a platform for accountability. That's another Lubengo we are giving you as government. In short, can you monitor service delivery around your villages? Can you get concerned with the services which are being rendered there, whether it's value for money? A government take a money konto mu byalo bya Muzwera. Ezimba masomero ebyalo mu bya Muzwera. Ezimba malwaliro mu bya Muzwera. Ekola enguudo mu bya Muzwera. The practice which is there among us. Edo mukyalo tenkoba isitulyano. Tubaka ebya government oba bali sente bali. Ebyo kasebe ya government oba bayibe sente bakola batya? Bayibe. That's the practice, that's the thinking in us. Titebutukwatako. oba bayibe ne bakola batya bagiibe okuba bamolesi okupolisi ya gavumenti giri okolewa moje muzwera oba bali okola luguudo yawo ekyawo maiso bali kuiba siminti bali kuiba mafuta bali kuiba musenyo bali kuiba niki bali uka isomero bono yalonka erione nani yaugana kwabo kuona isomero nge bali kuzimba ba mixingire buli bali nani siminti buli bali imeka egeji jamati bateka kujigeji imeka ne kitao kikoba kitya. That's another role we are putting on your heads, monitoring what? Service delivery. And this is what the president is going to tell our bosses their side. That's why he wants them. There are many other reasons, but I'm trying to summarize on issue of national development. Enkulakulana. President abeeta kuba kicho. Tumube kaliso liso ku bintu bikole waje muzwera. Should not just look on. Ati ani wole leader. Bale ukola nayi kontadi ewo kumulyanga ade oba ku lugoda ade. Iwo kote binkwatako. Yamala 1 month mweri gumunge firi. I'm just trying to refresh your minds to become responsible citizens, become responsible leaders, to hold people accountable to what they are doing around you, around your villages. That's why government needs to collaborate with you, to work with you. Eni enkolagana ya inywe ne government je tuli kunoonya. Tesende kiri kuiza ansi eyo okole bintu ebyo. Nenyo mukolere oniki. Kubanga abantu balina obwesige mu inywe. You are the eyes and ears and the voices of the wananchi. Baba isame bitiwa. Bamaite ne musolo kubatumulira. Bamaite ne musolo kulopa. Ibaji batasolo kutuuka. Iwo mwagala oli ano. Inga minister, ingo kilani leader, ekyo niche tutaka. Can you speak on behalf of the wananchi on where things are going wrong? Netukyali kumulamu aguli ati bitukwatako ffe ebyo. Ebyo NRM bitukwatako. Ebyo government oba babbe. When are we going to wake up to get to realize that actually these services are for our people? There is that one, protection of the vulnerable, like widows, orphans, the elderly, people with disabilities, from land grabbers, from exploitation, from exclusion. They are saying that ethics and integrity means no one is left behind. Bananga bantu abezo kubala baliyo mu byale ne mu nkolere oniki okukategorize je mbalire ejo bali kwa jagaita kali the widows, the orphans, the elderly, ano mu Buganda bananga enyo never learned mankuba is it indotanga kunti there is a day that I will Gandhi to move my father's grave because I want to sell land. His land he bought, my dad, late dad. Njani nsengula magomba agolwo kutundao. As an example. No kwatu mao no mutika, omutwala mukyale eri otunda anofune sente. Are those things happen? Bali kula magombe are reducing that on gatali konfufu. Even killing your parent because you want to get that land, because he's aging, he has a few to die. Mananga, munga mutaka ukakaba na nyokufa. Morobo gaiga. It's so disturbing, Your Highness. They even go the extent of murdering your own parents because you want to grab land or to take over their land. Muli koesa baleme to exploit them when PDM money comes. That's exploitation. And after a million mwe mtwala atano. Yes, these things happen. And we are saying we are even excluding them from getting PDM. Not a mulemo mwesene jaki. Oba mofu, oba mulemo engaro, oba aliatia. These PWDs. That's a mwesene na jaki ejo mbenye na yo benye. You're excluding that person from government benefits. Next. Cultural leaders also provide mentorship to the youth, teaching young people hard work, self-reliance, and patriotism. All those values I'm going to summarize them in the next session. But we are saying you are one of the cardinal roles is mentorship. Mentorship. Mentoring the younger generation on those values that we cherish. Enono jaisu tulina okusomesa abaana baisu. Oba misana oba bwire all the time. All the time. Empisa. All the time. I want to give people the example of us when in Kampala here we are best now this way. Omusaiza azweika saa mweza kwa kumulimu. Omukali we yena azwa saa mwezi kwa kumulimu. Omusaiza ira saa nga 3 na kyamire mu kunywe mu baala. Nasoka ni ewamu after around midnight. Omukyala wo lisaiza saa aira saa ino gyo wiri. But they have children, they have left with a maid. Bobona bazoyo nga badembere. Efoika tibataka kumanya. Day in, day out, that's how they are behaving. There is even a family where the maid, the one who stays with the children, in another bedroom. Oh my, umwana otaka kumanya bye mwana we. They are there in Kampala where I stay there. How are you going to nurture those values into those children right from childhood? If you are an absentee parent, ngira mu 40 iwozwe kama kezi saa mwezi na yakumulimo no irawire sawa ina oyo mukyala no mwami ena natuuka saa ina irete n'abakesa idie nateka makatekamu no wana mulekereka uli nayo oyo yayo yakuma baanawo iwo mwana yega mpisa kiensa mu iwo mu byaire musaiza no mukali bamama mulyano mutu bayade mutaka ina bana banywe but in Kampala there are those who even hate their own children. These are realities. So we are saying, mentor the boy child, guide the girls, and denounce those vices like drug abuse, like gambling, like violence, like betting, and those many others. Our children are fully engaged in these things. Ewe ngo tutakulabirira omwana wo by nurturing values that child, then you are wasting your money even to educate that child. Wanga tamaleku. Charity begins from home. Tamaleku. You are wasting your money. Wango might otata na mtu alonboarding, the teachers will do that on my behalf. Who tells you? These are issues which are affecting you. I know that's why you are keeping quiet, because all of us are culprits. In most of the cases, we are culprits, me and you. Netu ino kubitumulirako okube okisya okubalaga nti musanire ate kisookera kuno nnyo mulyano to pass on these values to the younger generation. Okay, let's conclude on this. Now these are issues for all cultural institutions emerging issues which we've documented for the period of being training all over the country. The first one that we have identified is erosion of authority. And we are saying that the authority is being weakened. Nange omukulu oyo ni interpreting ebigambo ebyebizita ebyo. You look at that first bullet on our Prime Minister. That there's erosion of authority, and we are saying traditional authority is being weakened by the Eurocentrism and intervention of Eurocentric organizations, the dissemination of cultural norms and values. We also say younger people and even some committee members now trust foreign ideas more than customary law, making it hard for you to enforce ethics at traditional level. Is that right? Bananga wasome mulimu. Nana nyambako futa bigambo ebyo. Sabira Prime Minister. Now we are cherishing foreign cultures.
Yes.
What's our children? They believe in foreign cultures. Omwana azwala enkunami n'omukoba kakati, that's my right. Bameka bazwala enkunami mu Kampala. I'm in mini skirts. But you, the parent, you are watching that child living home in that kind of attire, and you're not talking anything. What do we mean by this dressing? Iwe nga tokobako. Iwo mubyaire, iwo mayi wa mwana. Abakyala abo ndakubako baraka kiriyeni. Nyoni kya mumaite nenda kuba ukisya. Today even the parents who have been chased from schools when they have gone for visitations. Oyabiro kuondera omwana omini. A girl what? A girl's school. Iba kubingo na nyanani. Oya kuona mwala ozwaire mini. Short skirt and blouse or a dress which is short above your knees. What do you expect? Eno babinga bakubinga bakuswaza. Yes. So, you saw parents isu nona bana baisu. Kubante tutakatukobeko. Kai sati ano je maite wa iswedi tinkobe wanyu je mzwerere wa iswedi je mzwerere do mchalo. Omaya wa mwana okobako ati wenu baire nikiwe ngosinya sinyo mwana takumala kemirembe. Nana batumula atyo. Nana tumulanga atyo banange. Oyo maye wa mwana. Ati anotaka kola atya. Oyo mukali. Tata koko beniki okumwana. I want to give you my example. My son is there. I was a dictator in my family. On issues of education of my children, my wife had no say. And they used to blame me for that. But my children are smiling, everybody is smiling. I made sure that my children started from boarding schools, all of them. The time that I spent at school was so limited. And I had the capacity to provide everything. Sometimes being a dictator in a family saves a lot of things in that family. But later, they will remember you for having been harsh and rude and hard and what? Baganda bange. Mulekereke embere yo makaka nyingi mzwera. Nti wo tobanga dala niwo oli batata kila kimu. Abana atu balisoma. No, be very hard, very difficult. There is my child, one of my girls. I beat her when she was at university. Why did I beat her as an example? I'm wasting time, but I'm trying to send my message home. Ngali mukisenge cheyo atumuno wirere wusha. Nakubakerere yo for us we in our bedroom. Room we sat her down. Otumulanga nano wire wona ne wuchago tumulanga nani we. How I normally talk to my friends. How watagona wa by the have watagona kubere at midnight past midnight. Who are those friends? And I made a decision to get her out of the house. After she had finished university, I told her to go and rent. As tough as that. That's what I used to be a no-nonsense person. Ocharikina nani yo yuko charikina. Natobera utole fees you have finished university. Okatu cherero mu nyumba kodoni amniki. Banange, I used to talk tough, but for a good reason. He's here. I beat the sibling when he was witnessing. He is here. So we are trying to amplify this. Go ahead. Now, there is that one bullet there, the next bullet. That urbanization and exposure to global cultures, they use traditional values. That's what will be talked about. And I'll give you examples how our values have been what? Eroded. They are there. The social media. That's why our children are what they are doing. Day and the night they're in social media. TVs. All those lifestyles are mentioned there. It's a big challenge to inculcate our values within our cultural institutions because of the social media, because of the TVs, because of the radios, the programs they air out, and also the lifestyles now in urban centers all over the country and globally. This is what we are going through. And we are saying they are the ones that influence, especially our youth, the children, who see traditional value as old-fashioned. bananti babakoba ebintu ebyo tanyona ebintu ebimutumulako niye byeireyo ebyawaire munamaani. Don't our children, some children talk like that. It is truly traditional. Ate aneso tukaire wakati abaze abona nabo ababa ola bekutumula ulisawa bali kuniswe. Don't our children tell us that. Now that one is so key, Your Highness. Another challenge which has come out to be an emerging issue is the lack of resources for traditional or cultural institutions in this country. Lack of resources. That many traditional leaders operate in underdeveloped areas with limited resources to address the needs of their people. Ndakuwa example been everywhere. Many of your colleagues, they don't have residences for their highness. They don't have even the palace. I mean, no, they are like the Bulangi. That's what. For you to where the Prime Minister is heading. For all the cabinet members and the Rukiko White seats, like the Bulangi, they don't have it. They don't have means of transport. Even the Prime Ministers don't have transport in terms of vehicles. Even the cabinet members don't have transport. How are you going to play those other roles if you don't have transport? I want to give you an example of Busoga. Your colleague, the Prime Minister of Busoga, moved me to all the 11 chiefdoms. Busoga, uli chief wa Mzimbire nyumba government. Uli chief wa Mwaire dawa kabinka. Mbeya. It goes back to the other C of communication. How do you communicate with the government? To convince government to assist you or to collaborate with you to get the resources that you need. So you bought a leaf for Busoga. How did they do it? For those chiefs who have gotten those resources in terms of vehicles, in terms of houses, in terms of they are getting even a salary. Prime Minister. Government. You see? Others are getting. Others are getting. So we'd like to level the ground. But you can only level the ground by embracing the forces I told you about this morning. There's no shortcut. You can level the ground when you have got that shopping basket, the strategic plan. You can level the ground when you have got highly placed heads. Not all of them. At least I've got the chance to know all of them. Not all of them have the capacity to lobby. Not all of them. So you have to have a very effective lobbyist to put resources from government to reach this institution. But I know. Another one. Now that one is also a big challenge, Your Highness. Balancing tradition and modernity. That adapting to modern governance structures while preserving cultural authenticity is a dedicated balancing act. But the catchwords are there. Balancing tradition with modernity. How do you balance that? Wangaba nama iso bataka kulisibya iswe. Tebataka kumanya. Abantu bakate stani. Abantu bakate byanywe tetubimayi tetutaka kumanya tetutana kuulira. Our children. How do you balance that between tradition and modernity? Because one of our cardinal roles is to pass on our cultural norms and values from generation to generation. But there is already an opposing word there, modernity. How do you balance between tradition and modernity? That's food for thought for all of us. Okay, let me summarize. That one, is it there? That bullet, before I read it. Is it there amongst you? Can I read it? That politicians sometimes use cultural leaders for personal gain or ignore you when making decisions that affect communities, and this undermines the neutrality and integrity of that cultural institution. Is that true? That they use you, after they use you, they dump you. They use you for their personal gain. And they say they ignore you when making decisions that affect communities. I want to get a bit probing you. Are you involved in the PDM arrangement? That's one of the government now, government program. Are you involved? Do they consult you? Or they bypass you? As an example. So, Your Highness, that's a key bullet as a challenge, as an emerging issue amongst all cultural institutions in this country. And then commercialization of culture, where some people now treat culture as business. Is that a challenge? They are using culture as what? Business. The few amongst you can manipulate this institution to benefit themselves as individuals. That is something which is awakening. That bullet there. Commercialization of what? Of culture. Where some people now treat culture as business. They take bribes. They take favors. And they are selling positions. And they weaken the moral authority needed to speak against corruption. But one day Takaria Wangwa as an example. For their own benefit, the few. And it's happening in many other cultural institutions, the big ones, more so the big ones. In Buganda, this is happening. In Busoga, it's happening. They are selling land which is meant for those cultural institutions, for individual benefits. They are selling buildings which were meant for the cultural institutions. They are selling many other things for the personal benefit. It's a challenge. And then lastly, down here, I think that's what I've already alluded to. A generational gap where elders uphold the values, but youth feel disconnected. That's what I've already talked about. That if cultural leaders don't understand the new communication methods, the message on ethics and integrity faces the risk of not being disseminated effectively. That you are here, and those who do not come here, if you don't understand the essence or the messages on ethics and integrity, then you risk your message not be disseminated effectively. That's why we are inducting you. That's why we are bringing you on board. That you must understand first before you disseminate. Also, kakutegera kasi ya asomesya bayinawo abawulana. Abanga tutegeere bitu tuli kusomesyaanu. Wabawula mulamwa okutwala mu bantu edokubasomesya wasomesya neki. That's what I'm saying. If you don't pick interest in what we are disseminating here, then what are you going to tell the people we have left behind? Your subjects. And then we are saying, even the methods of communication matter. How are you communicating to the wananchi? Where you are coming from? Is it on FM radios? Is it on television? Is it at funerals? Is it at barazas? Is it at village meetings? What platforms are you using? And do you think, are they effective in the way you're delivering your messages? That's food for thought for all of us. How do you communicate? The beginning point is you. How have you packaged yourself as an individual to have the audacity, the capacity to talk, and talk of sense? And talk what? Sense. That's when people listen to you. That's when people believe in you. That's when people will respect you. That's when people will hold you in high esteem. That's This one for the Prime Minister and His Highness, good is here, and the cabinet members. That subheading I put there. What's the future of traditional leadership in this country? It's a food for thought, but it's so touching. What's the future of your cultural institution BAKENYE as an example in this country? Here we are saying that the future of traditional leadership depends on its ability to remain relevant in a rapidly changing world. It's not a small statement there. To remain relevant. Prime Minister Onyambeka atuone. But I'm giving the elaborating that here are some ways traditional leaders can continue to thrive. The other catchy word is, how do you become or remain relevant as a cultural institution? But now here they are giving you guidance on how you can remain relevant for you to thrive or to survive in this changing world. But why is that wow? One which is the key, Your Highness, is embracing education. And there they are elaborate on what they mean by embracing education. Number two, another area that should embrace is promoting inclusivity. That should not discriminate those categories that we mentioned earlier, the vulnerable groups. That ensuring that women and youth have a voice in community affairs strengthens the role of traditional leadership and fosters unity. If you really worked on that, to strengthen your authority, that's what that statement is talking about. And to foster unity amongst your subjects. If you cherish that value of inclusiveness, titwaleka bande nyuma kubanga bantu baiswe oba muleme oba bulema oba mwofu oba weigere oba niki oba namwandu oba bana bona walaka baita wa na mawe. They are part of our community. We should embrace them and assist them. Ekyo missing ekyo bobeya ngoli dalian obososola obatulumirwa niko esekete kibibe kino boli mukodo mu wongo bana chikaba mukodo mukimaite ekyo kyalugwere oboli niki mukodo mu wongo atoba muodo bongeireko. Lastly, Your Highness, leveraging technology, that using digital platforms to communicate with their people and share cultural knowledge can enhance their reach and impact. You cannot be everywhere. There's already technology for you. You can't be everywhere. There are social media platforms. There are these known media houses. We are only saying that for you to be effective in communicating to your subjects, make use of those platforms. Make use of the media houses to reach out to everybody in the villages. Because you can't be everywhere. And you may not have the resources to be everywhere. I want to ask a question to go to the Prime Minister. I've been in other places, cultural institutions, where within this is where their culture dominates. There are some members who have offered provide free airtime using those those media houses within their locality for the Highness, His Highness. In every week there are 2 days for given to him, all the cabinet members and Prime Minister, to speak on air about what they want to talk about for the benefit of their subjects. They are already gazetted days for him to speak. Because he's not supposed to be quiet. The Prime Minister is not supposed to be quiet. The cabinet, you are not supposed to be quiet. That's why they are provided free airtime. In Buganda, that's what's happened. In Busoga, this is what's happened. Is there anything for His Highness that is in offering to enable him perform his duties as expected of him, as your head? That's a question coming to you. How does he communicate to his subjects? Because he's supposed to speak day and night. This food for thought. Because you must talk. He must talk. You must talk. The cabinet members must talk. The clan leaders, you should talk. Ekyo tuli ndikuba mmerayo. Omaizi munooni answers. But it's a challenge which we think should be addressed to make you talk to your subjects, to make you communicate government programs to your subjects, to make you even disseminate these policies to your subjects. And we are saying you should get involved in doing things where you come from. You are talking of preaching hard work. You flash that. Okay. I will not summarize. I will not go through the way forward because of time. But you got the other knives. I'm summarizing. Give me 5 minutes and I get off the stage. Only 5 minutes. 5 minutes and I get off the stage. Now, you already have this handout. The National Ethical Values Policy. You go to where the values begin from. The rest of these provisions in the policy are going to read. The values were there. In that handout which you already have, in that presentation, the government is only saying that in addition to preaching your values, cultural values, can you talk about the 10 national values? And they are as follows. Respect for humanity and integrity. And I'll give even an illustration and explanation what it entails. And the government, what it has done on that value of respect, it has added environment. Now, it's not only respect for humanity, but we should also respect what? The environment, where we are coming from. Number 2, honesty. This is what I will tell you in the morning, that you take that oath, and then you do the opposite. And that's the illustration. They define what honesty is, but you can abuse it by talking lies and taking the oath and doing the opposite. Next, the value of justice and fairness is also elaborated. Next, the value of hard work for self-reliance. We are the ones who had self-reliance, but at first it was only hard work. Hard work for self-reliance. Okwemala makago. Nga wesobola ne family yo. Mukukola gwe, you have to work yourself for that. Okay, number 5. That's what I talked about in the morning. Personal integrity, what it means. Number 6. That's what the president has been talking about. Our chief guest. Some silence a bit. That value of creativity and innovativeness is what the president is preaching wherever he is. Our children being creative and innovative. And we are emphasizing our children going vocational. Nga bamanyi okuyiiya abaana baffe mulamu oguliwo n'okwekolera. That's what I'm talking about there. Next. Number 7. Social responsibility is a no. Number 8. Social harmony. Number 9. National unity. Number 10. So, you already read this handout. We are saying the handout is with you. And I want you to use it for disseminating what's contained in that handout to your subjects. But it's talk about the values that you already know. But now we are saying, can you emphasize them? Those 10 among the many that you know about. Can you emphasize them? Lastly, let's go to the conclusion. Conclusion. To me, it's very important that if you want to see change, the time to invest in it is now. We are the ones to deliver the Uganda that we desire for us and our children. We are the ones to deliver the Uganda that we want to ourselves and our children. Munange nga tutako kutumula, nga tutako kwega, nga tutako kumanya, you are wasting time being a member of the executive, being a member of this cultural association. Those are my last words. That if you are not willing to cause a change in this nation, more so the younger generation of this nation, then why should you be part of the cultural institutions in this country? Because we need you, because we know you can do it. You can cause a change if you accept it. But if you oppose, you will not. So, Badang, intumula ino, ebisera byabire, nensaba, musonyiwe, aliwo enane session gye tuli kuleka, but you already have a handout. And that session was on the zero tolerance corruption policy. Now this is now the firefighting of what has gone wrong. And the policy is here. I don't carry the document, but I developed a handout for talk about that policy, the zero tolerance corruption policy. That's now the reactive way of fighting corruption in this country, using all those anti-corruption agencies in this country, including security. So there is no time, and I know you can read at your own time. This, you have it. Talk about how Ugandan government is fighting corruption using the reactive approach. You have it. I want to stop here. I want to thank everybody. Inze banange nkoba nti tinze tinkoba nti ndi musayino n'enzo omulimu gwange w'okusomesya. Ndi ng'omubuulizi, ndi ng'omwawule, ndi nga imaamu. Omulimu gwange gw'okola niki? Gw'okusomesya. And it's not easy to change people. Change takes time. Change is gradual. So tinsobola okulowooza nti nsobola okubasomesa atya ne mukyuka be. Nkoba nti tweyongera okwiraanu. Your Highness, we shall continue coming back here as government. Wherever you are going to call us, we invite us to support you, to continue guiding you, to continue preaching to you, to continue providing all the necessary materials that you need to reach our people. Mwebale.
Tukweyanziriye nsaba tumukubire ku ngalo gy'omwanguka. Ze maite akozesere dakiika moiza yonka. Ati anomunganye iwe Lucky Peace bita woti. Lucky Peace twaba kufuna enkyukakyuka egendi mu ntumula. Lucky Peace nkutaka ye nove kuzeyiza wange. Ono mu bwatuliranga ngalo gyonka.
kamba sindikira omubaka aize atuuke obubaka bwange. Kale ntaka kusaba owekitiibwa Isaac Walugembe oize otuuke obubaka bwa minisita. Tusangaire.
Several His Highness, the cultural leader, owekitiibwa Prime Minister, tuteekeko county chiefs, our dear clan leaders, ministers and your deputies, the commission of oath in absentia, our dear facilitator, assistant commissioner, directorate of ethics and integrity from the office of the president, the special advisors to His Highness, the cultural leader. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Naye kasooke njogeremu ku Luganda olutonotono olukenyenyeza obutalwogera nnyo oluvannyuma nsome obubaka bwa minisita. Abakenye gye muli? Abakenye muliyo? Mwebale okubaayo. Ssebo owekitiibwa His Highness, nze Sebandeke Isaac Walugembe nga ndi assistant RDC Buyikwe eyo ng'ate n'abakenye okuva e Buyikwe muliyo? Ab'e Buyikwe abakenye muliyo? Naye twesiimye nnyo ssebo nti osobodde okumakuma abakenye Uganda yonna. Ate obwo obuwanguzi tukubuvireko Katonda. Nga sinnaba kusoma bubaka bwa Honorable Minister, naye nange ng'omuntu nina byenjize wano, nina byendabye. First and foremost, twagala kusiima nnyo abantu abatuyambyeko n'ekifo kino, abatuwadde hostage okusobola okutegekerawo omukolo guno. Abaseta University, thank you so much. Ekyokubiri, ladies and gentlemen, mwebala okukkiriza okutwala obuvunaanyizibwa obw'okulembera abantu. Ekyokusatu, mwebale kugumira ebizibu byonna bye muyiseemu. Mwebale kugumira ebizibu byonna, because singa temwabigumira osanga singa temuli wano to take up your responsibilities and roles.